Hello and welcome to another Real Retirement Stories. This time we have a relatively new retiree in Florida named Anne. Anne, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Let's start, as I start with everybody, asking you, at what age were you when you retired?
I retired at 65.
And how long have you been retired?
It'll be nearly a year at the end of June. Will be
Okay.
my 1-year anniversary.
You excited about the 1-year anniversary?
I guess. I mean, it's gone well, so I don't really have it. It doesn't feel like a milestone exactly to me. It's more of just a progression of things. So.
And were you married when you retired?
Yes.
You still married?
Yes.
Is your husband retired?
No, he's not. Although he's self-employed, so he's cutting back on his workload a little bit gradually.
Okay. And let's think back to a little more than a year or two ago. How did you feel about retirement then? What do you remember?
A little more than a year or two ago, I think I had retirement in my sights. I don't know when exactly I decided that 65 was going to be the retirement age for me, but I kind of feel like that was always what I was thinking once I qualified for Medicare and didn't need the health insurance through my employer, that would be my time to be done.
How do you remember when that thought first came to you? It was like 65's it. Were you in your 50s when you thought that?
I think I didn't really bring it to the forefront of my thoughts probably until I was 60-ish.
Okay.
I worked from home, so there was a little bit of a natural transition that came with working from home to being retired then too. And I started working from home when COVID came. So that would have been about when I was 60.
Okay. When you were thinking about retirement in your early 60s, what were your main fears or concerns?
Well, I think always the financial piece of it. You want to make sure that you can still have a life and do the things that you want to do. I felt like we had saved well. We're financially responsible people. Wanted to make sure our house was paid off before I retired. There were certain things I wanted to check off the list before I really thought seriously about retirement. Having the house paid off was definitely one of them. And then also finding a financial planner person that we were comfortable with, because I don't have a lot of, I don't really understand that piece of it well, investing and all of those things. And I don't really have a desire to, so it was important to have a trusted person.
So your profession wasn't financial?
No. I worked as a nurse and in a variety of different settings, but primarily as a critical care nurse. That was the bulk of it. And then in the later years, I worked from a desk job. And so there was also a little bit of a natural progression there towards retirement, where I kind of shed some of the physical aspects of the job and moved into more of a 9-to-5 situation. And I always felt like it was a great pre-retirement job. The responsibilities were different, and anyway, it just kind of all moved the way it was supposed to.
And one of the things you mentioned was supposed to happen was your house was paid off. When did that thought come in? Was that something you always had in your head, as I need to pay off my house to retire?
I think I did always think that.
Why?
And I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
Probably read it somewhere or heard it from somebody.
But when that house was paid off, you felt good about it.
The house was paid off before I was 60, but I felt like one of the things that I wanted to achieve before I really started thinking about retirement was completed.
Okay.
I guess if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Did you have confidence? How did you feel about the financial situation when you finally said, yeah, 65 is the number for me?
I felt confident about it. Well, and part of my confidence too, I think, was because my husband was going to continue to work after I retired.
Okay.
And he still is planning on doing that for now. We'll see. We'll see how long he sticks with that. But I think that gave me some confidence because I knew we would still have a solid income, and his income was always more than mine, although I carried the insurance for our family. So, there was a little bit of a trade-off there. But he turned 65 before I did, so he went on Medicare first. So that was accomplished too. I didn't have the need to carry like medical insurance anymore either for our family.
Was that one of the motivating factors to work till 65? Was the
Yes.
insurance?
Absolutely.
What made you want to retire at 65 when you did? Was there anything else motivating you? Did you not like your job? Did you?
No, and that's interesting because people, ask me, how do you know? How do you know when it's time?
Yeah.
And I don't really have a clear answer for that, but I did feel like I knew. And I felt like I had known for a long time that once I didn't have to carry the insurance for our family anymore, that then it was my time to. I've worked since I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was ready to be done. I didn't hate my job. I enjoyed parts of my job. I didn't like some parts, like anybody, but I liked my job, and I could have kept doing it. It wasn't holding me back from doing things that I wanted to do. But I just felt like I was done. I was done working.
So you pulled the trigger, 65. You said, I'm retired. You gave notice.
Mm-hmm.
How was that process? Were you nervous about giving notice? Were you excited?
I wasn't nervous. I think that I think that my manager at my job, I think she was aware that it was coming. And I gave plenty of notice so that I could train the people that would be taking over my responsibilities. That was kind of important to me because I liked my job, and I did take ownership over the things I did at my work, and I didn't want to leave them in bad hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that was important to me too. So I left like really feeling good about leaving. Like I had left my work responsibilities to people that could do them and were well trained, and I was ready.
So what did you do after retirement that you stopped working for 50 plus years?
Well, that's kind of interesting too, because when I decided I was going to retire, I started making a list of things, like a written list on a paper.
Okay.
Of things that I wanted to do that I've been putting off doing around the house. Some might think of them as chores. I was looking forward to them. Deep cleaning the house, purging the closets.
Mm-hmm.
I had different projects that I knew I was going to spend a week or more doing each of them. And I had about 10 of them written down, I think, on the list. And building a garden was one of the last things on that initial list. And then I add to the list as I check things off. I add new things.
Okay.
So when I knew I was going to retire and I had a date, I knew that Monday after I retired, I knew what I was going to do.
Did it fall as expected? Did you
Yes.
complete the task each week and move on to the next?
Yes, I did. Because that's my personality. I'm very, I guess, analytical in some ways. Some people might describe it that way, but I'm also a planner and somebody who likes to start something and finish it. My husband is kind of the opposite. He likes to start 10 things and finish one eventually.
So how many things are on your list now that you've?
I think I have 3 new things on my list now.
Okay.
But like when I retired in June, so I had enough to carry me through until at least Christmas time. And then I knew Christmas would come and there'd be preparing for the holidays.
Right.
And then I knew that the garden was going to be, in the cooler, but not winter months exactly. So I kind of had a map.
Okay.
Planned out. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to, I think I feel okay waking up some days, not knowing what I'm going to do that day. But if I was going to wake up a whole week in a row of that wasn't going to work for me.
And you knew that going in?
I knew that going in. I know my personality, and I know that I like to have a certain amount of structure in my life, and a routine to my day even. Although that changed some, but I still go into my office, quote unquote office, home office that I use. I just don't do work in there in the morning. Maybe I'll pay our bills, or I'll look on the computer for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a certain routine that I've developed, and that was important to me.
And it's worked.
And it's worked, yes.
What has surprised you the most during your retirement?
I think I don't feel like I don't know if surprises is the right word, but one thing I have to keep reminding myself of is that I don't have to finish everything in that week. That the next week is still open.
It'll still be there.
It'll still be there. And so I think I found that, I guess the surprise would be thinking that having to remind myself that I can slow down, that I don't have to get everything done on Saturday and Sunday because Monday's going to roll around. I can take my time, and if somebody calls and wants to go to lunch, I don't have to say, well, I'm cleaning my closet this week.
It's not on the list.
It's not on the list. I can say yes. And, I can be a little more flexible. So I'm learning that.
Did you get anything wrong or make any mistakes yet in retirement that you're aware of?
Well, I don't feel like I did. I feel like it's worked well. I'm happy to be retired. I don't have any desire to go back to work.
Okay.
I know my husband was concerned that I wouldn't have enough to do, and he was starting to give suggestions. You could do this or you could do that. And I told him, please just trust that I'm smart enough that if I get bored, I will recognize it and I'll do something about it.
Were you fearful that you would be bored? Is that why you created the list, or you just naturally create the list?
I think I'm a natural list maker, but I did also want to make sure that I wasn't, bored bored is the right word, but I would just wouldn't have anything to do that way
Mhm.
that day.
Are there any common misconceptions? Did you have a misconception about retirement that surprised you, or did there people out there think things that you realize just aren't accurate?
Um, well, I had seen a lot of several of my friends retire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some for the same reasons or same general reasons I did. Some because they hated their jobs. Some because they um, didn't want to do their job anymore, more like I did. And I guess one of my strategies too in retirement was I talked to those people a lot. Um, how was your experience? What did you do? What did you do about a health insurance?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Um, some people went with Medicare Advantage plans. Some people didn't. Why did you make those choices? I talked to a lot of friends and family about that. So what was the question again?
Well, misconceptions, yeah.
So I felt like for me, it happened the way I thought it was going to.
Mm-hmm. So what were the keys? You obviously creating a list and having that structure was the key for you.
Having a plan, talking with people that I trusted, and just knowing myself too, and what my own personality was and what I would need. I had a woman approach me recently who's thinking about retiring. And she said to me, how did you know? Similar questions. How did you know you wanted to do it? And then she said to me, she said, I think social interactions are really important after you retire. And she said, I'm not really an extrovert. I'm an introvert, and I don't. And I said, well, then, at least for me, because I'm not a super extrovert either. We have a close group of friends, but we're not super social people. And she felt like she needed to set up a lot of social things that would keep her socially engaged. And I told her, I said, I don't think you have to feel like you need to do that if that's not your personality and not the way you are now. If you feel you need to, that's fine. Everybody's different. And she was like, oh, that's such a relief.
Well, she must have hearing, and I said it, if you don't have social or a reason to get out of bed, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
And she took that word for word. Hey, I got to have
Yes.
social connections when she doesn't like it anyway, right?
Right. So I guess, just kind of really knowing yourself.
Yes. Yes. And you identified your things that you needed and you took care of it. You've had a year now where you've gone through it and you've learned a few things. Is there anything you wish you knew a year ago before you retired that would have alleviated some anxiety or would have made life a little easier? You wish you would have done this before retiring? Anything like that?
Nothing that really comes to mind, to be honest. I really felt like I wasn't anxious about it. I still don't feel anxious about it. I felt like when I was going into it that I was ready and I had the ducks that I wanted in a row were in a row. I know a lot of people said, oh, are you going to travel? That's always seems to be the big question. And that wasn't like the woman who needed social interactions. Big travel wasn't ever something we did before I retired. So I didn't feel the need to do it after I retired either. I mean, we have more freedom to go when we want to, certainly, but I think it went the way I thought it was going to go.
And how do you feel about it now going forward? Do you see it going on the trajectory you want? Is it things
I
going the way
do.
you want?
Yeah, I do. I'm very content.
So what's been your favorite part?
I think, which seems contrary to my planning personality, but not having a strict set schedule that I have to follow. Um, I know that this week I'm going to do certain things, but when I get up in the morning, I can take my time, have my coffee. That's probably been the best part of it all, and not having to be at a certain place at a certain time.
It's a wonderful feeling, that
It
freedom.
really is. Yeah.
What's been your least favorite part?
I don't know. It's hard to think of a least favorite thing. Maybe
Digging in the garden, the weeds.
no, no, that's fun. But I think you still have a need to think about your financial situation, um, making sure that um, that's going the way it needs to,
hmm
um, or the way you expected it to. Um, the health insurance piece, that's an ongoing kind of thing you have to stay on top of.
hmm
Um,
Does anything keep you up at night? Any worries? Anything?
Not worries about retirement, really. Not worries that I didn't have before I was retired.
hmm
You worry about your health, you worry about your kids.
hmm
Um, I don't think I don't really perceive that I have new worries
Okay.
because I'm retired.
So it sounds like it's going well.
It is. It is. I'm enjoying it very much.
So now, knowing what you know now, would you go back and retire earlier than you did, the same time you did, or would you still be delaying retirement?
I would retire the same time I did. That was really important to me to have that. When I would be on Medicare, that was very important to me.
And if someone came up to you like they did and asked you a question, but let's just say it's unsolicited, they just said, "Hey, give me a tip." What would you suggest to someone that's thinking about retiring?
Well, I think going back to what I said before, know yourself, and don't feel like you have to change just because you're retiring. Know yourself and create strategies that suit you.
And that might be a common misconception that people have is when you retire, you're going to become this whole new person and you're going to have all this time. You're going to do all this travel that you've never done and all these activities that you never had interest in, or you're going to spend money frivolously when you never have your whole life.
Yeah, I think you might be right. And I'm still a budgeter. I always was before. We've always lived within our means, or certainly that was important to us. Never wanted to have huge debt. Um, yeah, I think that may be a misconception. People think that their whole life is going to change. It doesn't have to unless you want it to.
And your husband's still working.
He is.
That was part of the plan. Has he been looking at you saying, "Hey, wait a second, I kind of like this style of life you have"?
I think that there might be a little bit of retirement envy creeping in, although he's always a very busy person too, or he keeps himself busy with hobbies and things. And truthfully, to back up, if when people ask him, what does Anne do now that she's retired? His answer usually is, I don't know, but she's always busy. So I don't think when I say retirement envy, I don't think he perceives that I'm doing nothing. I don't think that's it at all. But But I think he's starting to see advantages of not having to answer to someone like a boss. And even though he's self-employed, he's always described his clients as his bosses still. So he's accountable to somebody. So I do see a little bit of that creeping in.
So he has yet to make the plunge from being accountable to his clients to being accountable to you in retirement.
He's always been accountable to me.
I love it.
That would not be new.
And do you have any other final comments you want to make about retirement in general before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think, like I've said throughout this, just know yourself and get guidance from the right people that you trust and are comfortable with. And I think it'll turn out just fine.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and hopefully someone will learn a little bit from you.
I hope so. Thank you.